What's up, good people? You got Lavelle here, aka Vell, and welcome to my channel where we bond over our favorite TV shows, trending topics, and everything in between that we care about. So I am very happy that we are returning to our Welcome to Sweetie Pie series recap episodes. I promise you I have not forgotten about them. I have been kind of putting things together and, you know, just a lot going on, but we are back at it and we will keep churning them out, especially before potentially OWN shuts it down completely since, you know, Oprah sold it. But that's a whole nother story, whole nother video. I'll be doing that as well. Make sure you stay in touch for that. So the last time we did this, we left off on season 1, episode 4. So in this video, we are recapping season 1, episode 5, which was titled All You Need Is Love, which is pretty true. So in this episode, they followed the love lives of all of the main cast members, including Charles, Tim, and of course Miss Robbie. Now in the general storyline of this episode, Tim had got very excited because of a loan acceptance letter that he had received from one of the banks stating that they were basically approving the loan for the construction to start for the upper crust location. However, when he read it to Miss Robbie, she immediately noticed an issue, that it was not actually an approval letter, but instead a conditional letter of intent. Miss Robbie then told Tim to not get his hopes up too high because basically it meant that they were not yet approved and they were basically in the same situation that they had been in with the other banks. Now at this point in the series, Miss Robbie had $1 million already invested in the upper crust location, and although she had gotten a loan approval, she walked away from it because they wanted her to put up her house for collateral, and she was not feeling that part of the deal because they had already had her put up both restaurants as collateral. And with her previously being homeless once in her life, I think that was just a non-negotiable for her. She was not willing to take that sort of risk. But this gave me more insight into Tim and his business acumen and level of understanding business, at least definitely at that point. So it started to make me realize in that moment that the fact that he didn't understand the kind of disclaimer and the nuances of that letter of intent from the bank tells me that he definitely had gaps with understanding business concepts and contracts, which are probably the issues that led him into the financial peril that caused him to go down the dark path of needing money so bad that he felt like taking the life of his very own nephew was one of his only options left. On a side note, I found out through watching Eating with Philly Phil on YouTube, her YouTube channel, definitely check it out. She showed an Instagram live with Monique and Charles, and Monique stated that they were actually about to revive Welcome to Sweetie Pies until this whole murder for hire plot thing got exposed. And so I don't know if this is gonna completely put the kibosh on the whole thing, or will they want to follow the family in the aftermath of this to see how they're dealing with the fact that Tim is no longer around and, you know, what happened to him. So that would be interesting to see. Now we get to Miss Robbie, who's wrapping up her work day at the Mangrove location. She's trying to get everything squared away because she's planning to take a full week off because she's having a old flame come into town to visit and stay with her for the entire week, and she wants to not have to come to the restaurant. She said that this was an old friend from back in the day when she was a background singer, and she had just stopped singing with Ike and Tina and moved over to Dr. Watts, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a guy, he's an older gentleman, her same age range. He lives in California though, and of course she lived in St. Louis, Missouri at that time. So for their first date when he came to visit, they went out dancing and basically had great conversation. They were rekindling. There was really a bond. You could see that Miss Robbie was like blushing and she was really into it. I could see at certain points, it was like when they sat down, she kind of had that thing where she could barely look him in his face. And so I was really like, she is really crushing hard on this man. So in her confessional, she admits that she was longing to be in love. However, she stated she's a very independent woman and she wants to only fall in love with the right person because she said at her age, she didn't have time to waste. She also stated that she feels that as an older person, when you fall in love, you need to be committed. So I was starting to wonder, like, is that some of the issue with this guy? I think his name was Tom, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I wrote his name. Oh, his name is Tom. So I started to wonder if this was her issue with Tom. Like, was he not really willing to fully commit because this was a long distance relationship? Is he like, we can hang out, we can date, you know, and I'll still be dating other people if it comes up? I don't know if that was alluding to their dilemma in this situation or what. But it was cool to see that as successful as she is and all that she has going on, she still, like many of us, still wants to have love in her life, that love with, you know, that one person, that, you know, intimacy and that partnership. Now, what I found was funny was Tim called himself checking Miss Robbie because she had been gone for a whole week with her friend Tom, and she had not come by the restaurant at all. And he was saying, what's up with that? Because when you have other guests in from out of town, you constantly running up here like, ooh, you got to try the macaroni. Ooh, you got to try the peach cobbler. Ooh, you got to try my famous chicken. Like, and he's like, this guy, you never brought him to the restaurant at all while he was here. I love Miss Robbie's wit because she immediately said, that's because he didn't come to see the restaurant. He came to see me. And I'm like, that's right. Tell him, Miss Robbie. Then Tim, being as ignorant as he is, asked Miss Robbie, did they use protection? To which Miss Robbie responded, we didn't do nothing. And then she tried to kick him and said, don't you be asking your mother nothing like that. She then tells Tim to mind his business, to which he replied, you are my business. Which, I don't know, I love the banter between them because in that moment you got to see that they were close. Like, they had a similar relationship really to me and my mom when I like really think about it. So I know that they really had a bond, and just, I don't know, for us to be here and for them to be in this moment of time and to have your own son who she was obviously close with and have this happen, it's just sad. You know, and you know there has to be a void with Miss Robbie in regards to not only losing Andre, her grandson, but also the loss of a relationship with her own son, you know, the only living son that she had left. But we go on to Charles. Charles in this episode is going on a date with a woman. And so, well, girl, she was a young girl. So it happened to be a foreign exchange student from Spain, of one of the cashiers. So the girl was coming to stay with one of the cashiers for 2 weeks. Charles has interest in this young lady. And so he asked her out to take her on a date to the zoo, to which she actually accepted. So what I found to be interesting was Tim in his confessional said that Charles had never had a girlfriend before, but he's had a lot of female friends. And he said, however, it seems like they all put him in friend zone. And so Charles is an attractive guy. So I don't know at what point do you start questioning, why are all these females putting him in friend zone? Or is he putting them in friend zone? Is it mutual? I don't know. I'm just wondering out loud, people. Just wondering out loud. Now, Charles being Charles has invited this young lady on a date to the zoo. However, he finds out the day of that his license has been revoked for driving without insurance. So he comes to the restaurant hoping to hitch a ride to chauffeur him and the young lady to the zoo. This was actually a few years before Uber and Lyft came out. So I guess they didn't have jitney cabs. Or Jiffy cabs. I forgot what they call them. But anyway, he's trying to hitch a ride from pretty much anyone at the restaurant. Tim is like, how soon do you need to go? Because I got stuff to do. He says, in 30 minutes. I'm like, you wait 30 minutes before to like try to get a ride for you and your date. And so long story short, he ends up getting chauffeured there by Pops. Now they successfully make it to the zoo. So while at the zoo, the young lady asks Charles if he's ever had a girlfriend or many girlfriends before, to which Charles states no, he had not had a girlfriend. The young lady was shocked because she's like, hey, you know, you're 20-something years old, you've never had a girlfriend. Charles then replies he's never had a girlfriend because he's looking for someone who doesn't have a problem with him being him. And I think that's valid. He should definitely be looking for someone who doesn't have a problem with him being his true and authentic self. And I'm hoping that at this point, because that was years ago, that he's actually found that. I don't know. I don't think he's on social media like that for us to really know that. But I'm really hoping if they bring it back, we'll get to see that part of him hopefully finding someone who has accepted him and doesn't have a problem with him being him. Because we've all accepted him for being him. Like in typical Charles style, he then asked the girl if she had taxi money as they were getting ready to leave. So you ask her on the date, you take her on the date, you didn't even have a way there, and then on the way back, you're asking her for taxi money. Only Charles. So when the girl returns to the restaurant and she's talking with her friend, the cashier, who is housing her as a foreign exchange student, and she's asking her, you know, how did it go? Did you have fun? She says, yes, I had a good time. He's nice. And when asked if she was interested in him, she said, oh, No, he's just like a good friend. So I guess at that point, yet another woman had put him in friend zone. And then we get to Tim. Tim and Jenae at this point had put the wedding plans on hold due to her having TJ 3 months prematurely, and at that point he was still in the hospital. During this episode, they were finally able to hold TJ for the very first time, who was still just about under 2 pounds. Tim was too scared to hold TJ because of his size, and also too immature to understand how that was necessary for him to hold TJ as a part of his development. Jenae told Monique that Tim was already not a good communicator, and she said since little Tim had been born, he had actually become much worse. Monique then goes to the Mangrove location to pay Tim a visit to have a little heart-to-heart with him about the importance of him becoming comfortable with holding little Tim and how it was necessary for his development. And she stated basically that if he was having issues with that, he really needed to consider going to counseling to get help with that. Then Jenae and Miss Robbie have a little girl day. They go to get mani-pedis, and Miss Robbie is then pretty much saying the same thing. She's like, you guys need to have counseling. And Jenae is like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, you think we really need to have counseling? And she says, well, not so much you, but Tim. She says, because Tim's problem is that he has issues with everyone but himself. And I think we can agree and clearly see that now based on where his life has ended up. This also says to me that Miss Robbie clearly knew that Tim had mental issues, and she knew that he was just a little off. So that also makes me think, in her saying that, was it not a total surprise to her to have all of this come out about the murder for hire plot and to hear what he allegedly did to Andre? I wonder with his mother, is she not really surprised by this? Heartbroken, yes, but surprised? Maybe not. Tim then takes Pops to the barbershop to get some manly advice about everything that's going on with Jenae and the other women in his life who are insisting that he really needs to go to counseling for the situation with little Tim as well as his other issues. But unfortunately, Pop ends up being the wrong person for Tim to be taking advice from. Pop tells Tim that he doesn't need counseling. Tim then says, did any of your wives ask for counseling? We find out at that point that Pops had been married 3 to 4 times, and he then said that none of his ex-wives had asked for counseling. They pretty much just said they're leaving, and he said goodbye. So this is clearly the wrong man to be talking to Tim, because why would you take advice from someone who clearly did not know how to have successful relationships with multiple tries? However, just when I was thinking that all hope was gone for Tim getting any level of wise counseling, he ended up going to meet with his boxing instructor, who I realized may actually have been Tim's greatest ally, because in the previous episode, he had also given Tim wise counsel and great advice in regards to the situation with little Tim and Jenae. His boxing instructor started the conversation off with, have you and Jenae been talking? To which Tim replied, no. The instructor then tells him that it's very important that he keeps the lines of communication open with Jenae at all times. He then goes on to advise Tim that in this season of his life, he really needs to take on a caregiver mindset as it pertains to Jenae. He says Jenae is at the hospital all of the time taking care of TJ, but who's taking care of Jenae? And I thought that was very insightful of him to break it down in really as simple as terms. Like, that's your partner, and it is your job to hold her up during this time and fill in the gaps and be a support. He then tells Tim, you gotta handle your business. He then tells Tim, when your healthy baby comes home, you gotta have a healthy relationship, which will in turn help you to have a healthy family. After the conversation with the boxing instructor, Tim went to the hospital to see TJ and Jenae. Unfortunately, he did not communicate verbally with her. However, instead, he sung Stevie Wonder's You Are My Sunshine. So I guess for a person who struggles with communication, this was his heartfelt attempt to show Jenae that, you know, he was there for her and he loved her and TJ. For me, personally, I need a little bit more than you just singing. I need some words, I need some understanding, I need some communication. But for Jenae, it seemed to satisfy her, and she said it was a beautiful, memorable moment, and it was kind of one of the greatest things that had happened in that recent history. So I was like, okay, if it works for you, that's your relationship. But through this, I can now see some of the cracks of how their relationship may have dissolved. Like this way that Tim is very avoidant for like real serious issues. He's not really a partner. He's a provider to a degree, but really, I think it was only in their relationship, only financially. And that's just not really enough to sustain a relationship. So when it comes to Jenae, Monique did a confessional when they were going on their outing to a fashion show for like wedding dresses or something. And she stated that Jenae is very high maintenance and probably would not be interested in anything there at that fashion show because none of it was going to be high-end designers. And Jenae would likely only be interested in Vera Wang or something of that nature. I think we kind of all know that at this point, that Jenae was high maintenance. We've heard Tim say it. We've saw some, alluding of it. And when they fell out this past summer in August, he alluded to all the things he bought her and how she would, want a different car. And he bought her BMWs and Porsche SUVs and all of those sort of things, and the house that she got and all of that. So I think we all can see a level of that, which I think in some ways probably also caused the demise of their relationship, because I honestly think, based on how they met and finding out that, she handed her business card off to one of the waiters to give to Tim and she saw him around there, I really feel like there's a little plotation going on. Not plantation, but plotation going on there. There's a little paper chase going on. I just kind of feel like that. Maybe she really did fall in love with him at a certain point, but I do truly believe that there was a little clout chase going on there. Nevertheless, they ended up with a child and they were about to get married. So we end up back at the hospital. Jenae is explaining to Tim everything that's going on with little Tim and what the doctors and nurses have been saying. And I don't know, it just feels like every time they had a scene where it had something to do with TJ, that Jenae would be explaining what was going on with TJ to Tim as if he was a stranger. Not like he was actively involved, but like she was constantly giving him updates like he wasn't around to know what was going on. And if she didn't tell him, he just didn't know. So in this particular scene, she's telling him that TJ is developing fine and he's getting to the point where he should be able to breathe while also sucking on a bottle. And so they were going to have a session with one of the nurses so that they could kind of coach them through the process. She tells Tim that, it's occurring like the next day at 2 p.m. She's saying, don't be late. And he's like, I promise I won't be late. And then she's saying, I should have told you 1:30, because she's traditionally used to him always being late. He then promises, that he's going to be on time. Fast forward to the day of the coaching session. The nurse is there. Jenae is there. Of course, TJ is there. And the session's starting and Tim is nowhere to be found. Tim then is rushing in. He ends up being 15 minutes late. Of course, Jenae is irritated because he said he would be on time. It was at 2 p.m., not 2:15, not 2:20. Anyway, this still, goes to show a level of Tim not being reliable. He's then not understanding why Jenae was pissed off. And I'm like, I get it. I do truly get why she would be pissed off for that. Like, what would you guys? Would you be pissed off like 15 minutes late when you stressed to the person the exact time of the start and now they've missed part of it? Because by the time he got there, little TJ was actually already suckling, on the bottle. Is it suckling on the bottle? I'm not sure if it's suckling on the, when you're breastfeeding, or bottles too. I'm not sure. But anyway, he was starting to feed on the bottle. And so Tim kind of came on the tail end of that. So like probably explanations and overviews and all of that would have happened in the very, very beginning. He probably missed that. And then once again, Jenae has to update on him. That would be very irritating as a partner who's dealing with that. And then you're just like never really around. I could see how this may have really put stress on their relationship. And honestly, it would put stress on any relationship. But I could see how this was probably a big crack in the foundation of their relationship. But with that was pretty much that episode. We got to see the different perspectives of the love lives of all of the main characters on the show at that time. If you're new to this channel, please take this opportunity to subscribe below to join for more content and become a part of the EOV subscriber family. So our word for this video, please comment it below to let me know that you made it to this point in the video, is wise counsel. Yes, wise counsel, because I can't help but to wonder if Tim had received wise counsel from the men in his life, Pops, his friends at the barbershop, his bros in the neighborhood, if he had received that great wise counsel and they told him that, hey, yeah, you do need to go seek professional counseling for the issues with your relationship with Jenae, the issues you have with being detached from your newborn child, the issues in his life as a whole, obviously, being in prison for 10.5 years. How different or better would Tim's life be today? Would he have been able to become a better father, a better husband, or a husband, because I don't think he ever got married to anyone? Would he have been able to better deal with his anger issues in regards to the breakdown of his relationship with Jenae, the issues he had with Andre that obviously caused him to not value Andre's life? And we all occasionally need wise counsel to help us stay the course. Do you have it? If not, you should take time to ask yourself, who is the person in my life now who can hold that position for this season in my life? Whether it's a friend, a relative, mentor, or a professional counselor of some sort. We all need wise counsel. We're never too old for wise counsel, and we're definitely never too young for wise counsel. So with that, I'm gonna bring this video to a close. I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you for your support. So till next time, till I upload the next video, take care, be blessed, peace.